Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Hugo Lucas. I'm the Director for Knowledge, Finance and Policy at IRENA, the International Renewable Energy Agency. And I would like to welcome you all to the first IRELP webinar, the IRENA Renewable Energy Learning Partnership. And I would like to thank my young and enthusiastic colleagues for setting up all these set of webinars for IRENA. First of starting a short presentation on IRELP, I would also to let you know that you can type your questions anytime, but we will only having a question and answer session at the end of the presentation that we have today. Basically, we will be working in IRELP for 1.5 years. We wanted to facilitate and increase education in renewable energy. There is a shortage of qualified human skills and a scarcity of the adequate education on renewable energy. Together with partners from all over the globe, we have set several databases on education and training opportunities, on training material, and lately as well on internships. To give some figures of what IRELP has achieved in 1.5 years, we have visitors from 189 countries. We have partners supporting us in feeding the databases, up to 23 partners, more than 2,500 data sets, and people visiting IRELP stays on an average of 5 minutes, and we have at present an average of 27,000 visitors per month, and we are very close to reach the 100 followers in our Facebook webpage. But we have realized that there is not only a demand for education and training in renewable energy, but it's also the need to increase awareness of the career opportunities that renewable energy sector is offering today, and this is why we are moving to a second phase of IRELP, where besides including the information on internship, which is normally the first step in a professional career, we also will provide guidance for new people starting a renewable energy career, information on job opportunities, and supporting countries in developing curricula and integrating renewable energy in their education strategy. You can follow up in the web, irel.org, but also Facebook and Twitter. So after this short presentation, I will be introducing our first panelist today. In fact, there is a couple that come from the European Wind Energy Association. The first one is Ms. Angeliki Kolouri. She's the research officer in the policy department, and she's a specialist in environmental and social acceptance issues on wind energy, as well as the skill requirements for the sector. She is an electrical and computer engineer. Together with her is Mr. Filippo Gagliardi. Filippo is responsible in a way of the European Wind Energy Technology Platform, and is the Secretary General of the European Wind Network. He's author of several reports on the training needs on the wind sector, and he holds a master's degree in business administration. Our colleagues from IWEA will introduce us the topic of workers wanted, European Union Wind Energy Sector skill gap. So, IWEA college, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I hope you can all hear me. I will begin the presentation, which I'm going to share with Angeliki, by introducing IWEA and TP Wind. I'm sorry, I don't know how to move to the next slide. Okay, yes. So just a few words on the European Wind Energy Association first. It's the voice of the wind industry in Europe, and what we do is to research the latest developments of the wind sector. We disseminate the information we gather, we raise awareness on relevant topics, we organize events, and we obviously also coordinate different...
This is the organizer. Can you please just turn it to the presentation mode? Can you press the icon of the presentation mode? It will be showing the whole slide in the whole page. There is an icon like a screen on the below.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Apologies. So AWARE has almost 60 countries, and including all the components of the supply chain. So we have developers, manufacturers, consultants, electricity providers, research institutes, and so on. And as you can see here, these are our leading players, and they are all major energy companies worldwide. A few words on TP Wind, which is what I manage in AWARE. It's the European Wind Energy Technology Platform. It is a network of approximately 180 EU wind energy experts, and basically its role is to advise the European Commission and Member States on the R&D priorities of the sector. So TP Wind was created in 2005. It is funded now by the European Commission, and part of its job is to publish deliverables and different kinds of studies and research papers on the priorities of the sector. So the most important ones are the Strategic Research Agenda, released in 2008, which is a catalog of the R&D needs of the European wind energy sector, and we are updating it now, and we will release a new one in 2014. Then we published, together with the Commission, the European Wind Initiative, which is today's most important R&D program to fund wind power in Europe. It covers the 2010-2020 period. It is co-funded by the wind energy industry, the Commission and Member States, and it has a total budget of 6 billion euros. And obviously, this training report, which we are presenting today, and which looks at the skills gap in Europe. Okay, so the purpose of the training report is to identify the existing skills gap. And in order to do that, we took into account several factors. First of all, the high rate of deployment of wind power. We are looking at having a total installed capacity of 400 gigawatt by 2030. The high skill level required by roles in all subsectors. The demographic changes, and a flat graduation rate in STEM disciplines, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And the changing emphasis within the wind energy sector towards operation and maintenance, which is a consequence of the maturity of the sector, because obviously in the beginning the emphasis is more on manufacturing and installation, and then with the growing number of operational wind farms in Europe, the emphasis shifts towards operation and maintenance. So if we look at the first factor, the deployment rate, as you can see, these are the AWARE targets for 2020 and 2030. We're looking at a total installed capacity of 230 gigawatt by 2020 and 400 gigawatt by 2030, with the offshore sector picking up properly over the next decade. This decade is still about onshore, but the next one will be will see the proper takeoff of offshore. And you can see it also in the last line, which indicates the annual installations. The proportion changes between this decade and the next one. Over the next decade, we will have a higher rate of installation offshore than onshore. The other element I mentioned before that we took into consideration is demographics, and this is a diagram based on Eurostat data that shows that there is a flat rate of graduation in STEM disciplines, so which hasn't changed for the past 10 years basically. Students do not find more interesting than in the past STEM disciplines, and this is a problem because the needs of the wind energy sector and of also other renewable energy sectors is for an increased number of people with STEM skills, But this growing need of the industry is not reflected in the choices that students make when they enroll at university, and therefore this contributes to creating a skills gap. And this is an overview of the shifting focus towards operation and maintenance. So approximately 50% of wind energy jobs are today in operation and maintenance, but this percentage will increase to up to 30% in 2030. These data are taken straight from the TP Wind report that we're presenting. So this shows that the biggest gap in the years to come, and the biggest skills gap, will probably be in operation and maintenance. So how did we try to develop the report? We looked at what is available in terms of training opportunities for wind energy players in Europe. So we started with a desk study examining existing opportunities. So we looked at the supply side, and then we looked at the demand side, and we got in touch with major wind energy players through TP Wind. We ran interviews, we circulated surveys, and we tried to understand what the needs of specific players are in order to understand, whereas they find easy or not to find the people they are looking for, what the main gaps are, what their suggestions are in terms of reducing the skills gap, and so on. And this is the very first step we took. So we looked at all the available training opportunities. We looked at the educational initiatives, technical courses, dedicated training centers, university courses, and so on, in order to start with a clear overview of what is available at the moment before getting into further analysis. And I will now leave the floor to my colleague Angeliki, who will explain what the results of this analysis were.
Thank you, Filippo. So moving on now with the interviews and surveys main key points. So during this process, as Filippo explained, we did some desk analysis, and then we conducted some interviews with several industry players. So here are some topics listed. First of all, the respondents mentioned that shorter conversion courses are more attractive, more flexible, so it will be better to have more targeted courses in order to obtain more adequately qualified personnel. Then, as regards vocational training, probably standardizing some trainings would be also beneficial in order to move on more efficiently. And then another interesting aspect was that industry needs to input to academia at some point. So there was this information schism that was identified in the whole process. So there should be some better links between those two areas. And of course, as markets are getting mature, we have different needs. So we are shifting towards more O&M skills, operation maintenance skills, and more soft development skills. Based on the surveys, 78% of the people who responded said that it's difficult or very difficult to get the right staff on board, which is a bit worrying for the sector. What they mentioned as well is, again, that there should be collaboration between the academia, the industry, and the trainers. And regarding the skills that they were missing, it's more the problem-solving aptitudes that they identified. And okay, for the installation trends, Philip also explained before that we have to meet these 230 gigawatts by 2020, 400 gigawatts total European wind capacity installed by 2030. So it is challenging. So we need to move on with the right jobs mix to meet this capacity. So this is a breakdown of the jobs that are currently in the jobs mix in the sector. So we estimate that about 40,000 suitably qualified personnel is entering the sector each year. You see that mostly is manufacturing for direct related manufacturing, as is wind turbines. Then installation is a big percentage, and then manufacturing for components, operation maintenance, and other direct employment. This is what we call the supply of personnel at the moment, and this was later used for in order to estimate the skills gap. So, as regarding the training provision trends, the report found that where organizations are offering training, it is the vast majority is provided in-house, as you see, or both, like combination of in-house and external training, and only like less than 10% of respondents reported that they outsource all technical or non-technical training. Now talking about employment, IRENA published last year the Green Growth Report, which was looking at the macroeconomic benefits of the wind energy. So one of these exercises was to estimate the direct employment by splitting into subsector in jobs. So they went through the period of 2007 to 2010. And what they found is interesting, that indeed there is a progressive trend for service providers, as we have highlighted in the last line. But for wind turbine manufacturers, component manufacturers, they have experienced a little slight acceleration in terms of deployment growth, which makes sense as we are moving more towards mature markets. So this is, again, another methodology that we used in the Pure Power report, again, estimating the employment figures. So Pure Power is another report that the IRENA is publishing. The last one was published in 2011, and they use a different methodology to calculate employment. So here we display both figures, and we see that as overall the industry employed more than 238,000 people in 2010. The chart with the green is the green growth, that this methodology looked at companies' financial statements. So they went like from company to company, they were checking exactly, they were counting the jobs, where the Pure Power methodology was more conservative. They took into account some other factors, but in the end, we see that the order of magnitude in terms of total jobs is not that different. So you again see the mapping, they are mapping a progressive trend of the total jobs. So this is, according to Typic Wind report, the gap that was estimated for 2010 and 2030. So at the moment, the report found that there is a skills gap estimated at 7,000 FTEs, full-time equivalents. And for 2020, this is expected to reach 10,000. By 2030, this figure can go even higher, 15,000. And the most important trend here is the rapid increase in operation maintenance staff, as you see, that especially for 2030, it's more than 10,000 FTEs, which corresponds to almost 60% of the skills gap. This is again another breakdown, the similar figure. So you see what is the manufacturing for components, which is the skills gap is decreasing thanks to bigger size of turbines, innovation, and the learning rates. But on the other hand, you have still operation maintenance skills gap increasing because of the maturing markets and the bigger cumulative growth. So if this left unchecked, the training report came up with two basic key areas for action. First one is that indeed there is in the O&M sector there is increasing demand, so we need to fill in more roles. And on the other side, we have big two challenges: the demographics challenge and the flat STEM graduation profiles, which can lead to possible lag in training provision. So one immediate action was to keep an eye on that and closely monitor the skill situation. These are then the 5 recommendations areas for action that the report came out with. The first one is indeed to try to improve the core STEM skills available to the industry, possibly by having bridges better than different academia and the industry sectors, so possibly having visiting lecturers and having more industrial internships with the graduates, stuff like that. Then another recommendation was to get the benefits of the industry into training and education institutions, so to have a more direct input from the industry. Another thing was to expand the cohort of the graduate wind energy generally. So indeed there are a lot of master universities and on offer in Europe, but there should be more. This was what was found in the survey. Also possibly harmonizing the vocational education and training at the EU level can be beneficial. Okay, this can be also difficult and tricky, but indeed there should be more an understanding, common understanding between the different countries. So we should move on with at least agreeing on something common in terms of training for vets. And the last recommendation was to indeed to increase this emphasis on O&M, because as we saw, there is a shift towards more cumulative capacity. So we have from the one hand we have the innovation and learning rates, but on the other hand we need more technicians and more people on site to take care of the wind fleet. So this was a presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Angeliki. Thank you, Filippo. I would like now to give the floor to our next panelist. It's Mr. Axel von Perfall. He has worked in management consultancy for Roland Berger Strategy, and afterwards he has founded his own company in 2007, which is called Alingo, and is the first recruiting headhunting company in Germany. And I think it's not only in Germany, but I believe worldwide, the only HR company fully devoted only to the renewable energy sector. And Axel will discuss with us about which are the shortage of in the renewable energy sector in terms of human capacities, and what are the particular skills that the sector is demanding more at present. So, Axel, you have the floor.
No, still we cannot hear you.
Welcome to GoToWebinar, web events made easy. Muted.
Hi, Axel. Sorry, we can't hear you. Please unmute from the side button. There's a little microphone.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, thank you. So you missed the first part. Thank you, Hugo, for the introduction. I'm the manager of a recruiting firm that is specialized in renewable energies and energy efficiency. So we are in very close contact to the companies in this field who are searching for managers, so executives, but also specialists in this field. So, and I think we have quite a good view on what the industry is looking for at the moment. And on the other hand, we have a lot of candidates
applicants coming to us applicants coming to us to searching for a new job. So we are somehow the matchmaker between the two, that's an experience I would like to share with you. First of all, I'll give you an overview of the numbers in the renewable energy sector worldwide, and also with a snapshot on Germany, and then talking first a little bit about the side of the companies in this industry, what their challenges are at the moment, and how they can access new employees, and also on the other hand have a brief look at what I can recommend to candidates or people looking for a career in this industry. So just one brief slide about our company. As I said, a recruiting, headhunting company. That's our focus. We do have a little section on interim services. So these are freelance experts which we lend out to companies who only need people for a certain for a project for a few weeks or a few months. So that's an interim management section. We work in renewable energy, so wind energy, onshore, offshore, the PV industry, bioenergy, and all the related sectors, and also in the environmental technology sector, so water purification technology, and things like that, and also in the sustainability field, which is obviously a very broad term, but you can take, for example, consulting companies who do sustainability reports for other companies. These are also clients of ours. In terms of where we are active, as we were specialized in this industry, so we don't have a real specialization within that regarding the hierarchy, level of hierarchy. So from the general manager down to the engineering expert, we will provide any candidate for our clients. We'll search and place candidates as the companies are looking for them, and also all functions. And there are certainly some focus areas, but I'll come to that later. We are basically in Germany with 2 offices. Many of our clients are based in Germany, but more and more positions are abroad, German companies and international companies abroad. As I come to the next slide here, one issue is certainly that the growth in the German market, be it the wind energy sector or also especially the PV sector, will probably be not that high and not that not with that growth rate as everybody had expected. But at the moment we are talking about around 800,000 people worldwide. I don't know, maybe IRENA has other figures or more figures. We didn't find any figures for the Asian markets, so this is not included here. Nearly 400,000 people working in Germany, so that is still really a big market and a country with a lot of expertise in this field. And we are, one thing which we see very strongly is that we are exporting this know-how also now, and we are more and more trying to export also the experts to help companies in emerging markets, and emerging being emerging in terms of renewable energies, to help them build up the competence they need in this field. The United States with about 200,000 people employed here, growing up to 320. The Middle East, 30,000 with a moderate growth, although I think 30,000 is maybe even a lot, but to be questioned, to be discussed with IRENA. So that's the overall situation. In the wind energy, we've heard the colleagues of EWEA. It's about nearly 300,000 employees, again with a third about in Germany, another third in the US, and the other European countries, again third in these figures, excluding Asia and the Middle East. So it is a substantial and a big market, but there are strong changes going on at the moment. And this is now the German market a little bit more in detail. Wind onshore is a very strong market with a growth, still some growth, right? Probably the figure for 2013 will be relatively stable, around 100,000. Wind offshore is growing from a small base, but strongly growing. Again, here also with a slight break on the developments. Bioenergy is an important field in Germany with a relatively stable development, and PV is going down, and it's probably going further down in 2013 because of all the difficulties we're facing here. So far for the most important sectors. This presentation I can send it out to anybody interested or through IRENA, so I will not go into all the details. What is really interesting now, and I think the speakers before me already mentioned it, there are some important changes going on in this industry. First of all, there's a transformation of most of the companies from childhood to adult life. There's a need for professional business structures and processes in many companies, and this is a transformation which is ongoing and which will also take place in the next few years, and that is very important for any employee in the industry or wanting to move into this industry to understand that this is happening at the moment. The second big trend we are seeing is the growth abroad. I mentioned it already that from a German perspective, German companies need to expand abroad, and most of them are doing it because the German market is still a big market, but the growth rates are not there anymore like we've seen them before. And for the move from manufacturing to service is a huge trend. If you take the PV industry, and you have the most drastic example, the complete German PV industry, the manufacturing side, it has collapsed basically, and it's all gone to China or to Asian countries, and it's more and more about project development, about financing, servicing, operation and maintenance has been mentioned. These are really important topics, and if somebody decides to go into this industry, it would make sense to focus more on the service sector than on the manufacturing side, at least in the German and European market. There is an issue about how do companies in this industry find the right candidates, and what we see is that the companies in this field are in a strong competition also to other industries outside the renewable energy sector, and we've seen a couple of good people leaving this industry because it has been shaken in the last 2 years a lot, and some instability has been there. So it is more and more important for companies also to present themselves in a good manner, to show the perspectives and the perspectives for potential candidates, and that's an issue for the industry as a whole, and also for the associations representing the industries, but also for individual companies to work really to work on employer branding, because it's not sufficient to say that we are in a great future-oriented industry. There have to be more arguments like the company culture, the performance, the quality, and so on. These are topics which should be addressed more and more by the companies in this field. Well, I will not go through all these details. There's a list of questions which each company or the industry as a whole has to answer on the way to get there. And now, how to get to candidates, to new personnel? That's our main job. We've split it up between national and international recruiting, and then the hierarchy level from top management to support functions. The higher you get in the hierarchy, the more you will work with headhunting companies and also with your network. But for the middle and lower sectors, especially for the experts, online job postings and online offerings are still very important, and that's also a suggestion for the whole industry, maybe for IRENA, because I believe there's a big need for an overall, like a comprehensive job database across all industries and maybe worldwide, because this doesn't exist so far. You have big platforms like Monster to cover all industries and all countries, but there's not a recruiting. We have good platforms in Germany, for example, Green Jobs, or similar platforms in the UK and other countries, but not on a global scale. I think there is a certain need for that. Okay, I will jump through, running out of time. This is something more in detail. Interim services, we see that as an important part. More and more projects are being staffed with interim experts because an interim expert, as the name says, will be employed only for the project. And as the project work is very important in this industry. This works quite well with the interim experts. Now, from the candidate side, I'm convinced, of course, like all of us, that the renewable energies are still a very attractive sector, despite some downturns and difficulty in some areas. But there are so many areas where growth is still a strong growth, that it really makes sense to go into this area. We have some key functions like engineering, of course, is always in demand, but I can say that everything related to sales, international sales or project sales, is also a very important topic, because all companies in all industries, all renewable energy industries, are facing more and more competition, and the only thing you can improve your product, but you can also increase your activities in everything related to sales. So that is, we see that we have many of our requests from our clients are in the sales area. International project management is very important, and I can also confirm that operation and maintenance is something which is coming more and more as a topic, because obviously the installed base in the wind and the PV sector is rising year by year, and somebody has to take care of those wind farms and solar parks. And then one word on training and practical experience. Most of our clients want, at least when they talk to us, they want people from the industry who have experience in that industry, and which is and for us we always try to present people coming from other industries, but it's except for some functions like, for example, engineering or finance or HR, it's relatively difficult to place somebody from another industry. And in Germany we have a lot of training offers which suggest to the candidate that they can do like a 4-week training or 3-month training, and after that they will be taken by any renewable energy companies. It's a question of also of expectations, in my opinion. In some of the training companies they create too high expectations towards their training, the people doing the training. So I think the training on the job is somehow also one of the most important future areas of training, apart from the external training offerings. But I'm a strong believer in training on the job, so that people somehow get started in a company and then progress within the company. Okay, so far I think for my part, some words about Elingo, and I will skip that. If you want to get in touch, my contact details for any further questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Axel, for this very interesting presentation. I'd like to remind everybody that we are taking note of the questions. You can do your questions, and at the end, we will try to reply to all in the moment for the question and answers. So I would like now to introduce our last panelist for today. Is Mr. Paolo Buoni. He's the director for the European Energy Center. He has been under the framework of the United Nations Environmental Program trying to disseminate education and training on renewable energy and energy efficiency. He has launched innovative distance and learning professional membership programs. Paolo, he will talk to us about how the European Energy Center is addressing the present gap of education and training in the renewable energy sector. Paolo, you have the floor.
Hugo, thank you very much for your introduction. I hope you can all hear me well. Now, I'll just take you through the presentation that I prepared for today. As Hugo very kindly introduced me, I am one of the directors of the European Energy Center. Today I'm going to talk about a few different topics as agreed. I also would like to extend my good afternoon, but also good morning and good evening to all the listeners, obviously depending on where they are in the world. Okay, so European Energy Center, we've been promoting best practice in renewable energy since 1975. Content of the presentations is going to, first I'm going to take you through what challenges educational institutions like ourselves face in predicting obviously which skills are required within the sector. The next point will be on our experience, personal experience, on how we've been addressing the skill gaps through education and training, as well as taking you through the Galileo Master Certificate. And the last point will be on how renewable energy education can also be made accessible to the international community, the international audience. Okay, in predicting the challenges in predicting the needs of the sector that we face, well, we can think about different ways of approaching this topic. I mean, for example, we can proactive or reactive. For example, by being proactive, obviously we would research the topics which may be more interesting by talking to potential candidates, by understanding what the industry needs, and then pushing those training courses, degrees on those topics. So proactively researching what the market requirements are. The opposite approach obviously is to be reactive. By being reactive, obviously, it's a question of waiting for to understand the demands from the students, from the audience, from the people that want to be trained, and then obviously creating training courses and degrees based on the demands that there is in the market. I mean, both methods are obviously are good. Both have pros and cons. However, I think we believe that depending on the situation, for some topics it might be better to analyze in advance and to push the topics to the market. In other situations, it might be better to understand. So a mixture of both is probably the best. which factors influence the decision on which topics to present to potential trainees? For example, there are legislative factors. If there are, for instance, new policies, new legislations, indeed, as the word says, to do with it can be anything related to any renewable energy technology or even energy efficiency, anything that helps meet European targets, global targets, national targets. So legislative factors are certainly a very key, certainly, for deciding which topics to train students and professionals on. Market-led factors, again, it's to do with, for example, if there is a new wind farm or a new solar farm installed, or if there are the requirements for specific technologies, or new technologies also, then these would be very important factors that have to be taken into consideration. A new wind farm will require personnel, obviously, for the maintenance, for the designing even of the actual technology. So those are this is also a very important factor. So there needs to be training courses and training for those individuals. Innovation-led factors, obviously those are more to do with the latest technology. If there is a new technology that we believe, for example, people should be aware of, then we would be launching training courses specifically on these on those new technologies. And this is again to help professionals get access to the latest innovations, to the latest technology, which can then help design innovative products, more systems with better efficiency, for example, etc. There are, of course, a lot of other factors that influence the prediction of educational courses, but those is just, I would say, the main ones that are got on this slide. The next point is really how us, ourselves, as European Energy Centre, are addressing the skill gaps that we face through education and training. Certainly, a major tool that we use is conferences, but this is not just for us, but it's for any organization that wishes to help our missions in sharing knowledge in renewable energy and energy efficiency. Networking is certainly also a very important aspect that is achieved through conferences, and also this webinar. I'm very grateful also to IRENA for organizing this webinar, which I can already see a lot of the people that are listening to it, and I think it's very positive, and I think it's really of great help for the market and for the audience. Another tool that we use is certainly educational courses and training, both of the classroom-based, but also in order to allow developing countries, not just people within Europe, but worldwide and globally, in order to access courses. It's important that there is a broad range of distance learning courses available, and this can be accessible as well. And publications are also very important for raising awareness, especially online, obviously, as again, that these have to be accessible by the global audience, not just within Europe, but also in other countries, in all continents, really, if we want to really achieve not just European targets, national targets, but global targets. just to give you an example, what you can see now on the screen is a photo taken from the biennial European Conference on the latest technology. And this was the 14th European Conference that we organized with the United Nations Environment Programme for the purpose of sharing information on, as I said, on the latest technology with key experts in the field. So this is just to give you an example. And also renewable energy training, as I said, is key. We have up to 5,000 participants attending every year. Since 1975, we've been promoting best practice in renewable energy and energy efficiency, thanks to a network of 22 universities. So the training courses can vary from energy efficiency to renewable energy management and finance, solar photovoltaic, etc., etc. Also, even marketing renewable energy, promoting renewable energy, as I'm sure you're getting from this presentation, is really key for really the if we want to really promote and getting more professionals learn about the sector. This slide I'm showing now is really another. Again, with that in mind, it shows the importance of creating new experts in the sector through pathway courses. So we believe that by taking people through a series of training courses aimed at specific expertise, then participants can become, in a way, experts. Obviously, this expertise has to be also matched with practical on-the-job experience, as has been said also by Axel a few minutes ago. We believe that his key internships also are extremely important. Yes, I think this is expert certificates, which is what people achieve at the end of these pathways, are a way to award and really get the award personnel that decides to become more knowledgeable about renewable energy and energy efficiency. The Galileo Master Certificate is internationally recognized, has been awarded for several decades, and that is really just an example, really, of a certificate that people can achieve, and something that kind of shows that the individual has learned about the topic, and can obviously then matched with the relevant experience and then utilized in a work-based scenario. I mean, this Galileo Master Certificate comes from a European project that we've also been part of, called MTEO, which is Energy Management Technician in Europe. I can also give you more information about that separately as well. Just give you some photographs of the learning and networking that we've been able to provide to participants. I mentioned earlier about journals. The journal, for example, we publish with the United Nations Environment Programme, is the one you can see now on the screen. This is also available online now. As I said, it's published in partnership with the United Nations Environment Programme and the intergovernmental parties, and such as IIR, ITF, and also Centro Studi Galileo. So the focus is on renewable energy, but also heat pumps. I mean, heat pumps is recognized as a renewable energy as well, as most of you probably know, assuming it achieves certain COPs as well. The next slide just shows the presentation of this publication at United Nations MOC 22 in Bangkok. That was when it was launched in 2010. And if we just go to the next slide, now I'm going to take you through how we can make renewable energy education accessible to the international community. I mean, I can give you some examples of how it can be done. I think it's a very important topic, this one, because renewable energy education is can certainly be accessible by people in some countries which are more focused on promoting renewable energy, on educating renewable energy, who have targets to meet, but not all governments, not all countries have strict targets or have a strong commitment towards it, towards meeting those targets or towards education. So I think all individuals can certainly make a change really by learning and by learning from anywhere they are, as long as they have connection, obviously interconnections, which nowadays I'm going to say that it reaches certainly many professionals, so just to give some examples, how can individuals and communities, people do really worldwide, what can they do? For example, they can take, as I said, online courses, they can also achieve accreditations and awards in recognition of what they have done, of the studies they've done, the work they have achieved. So they can also become experts, recognized experts. They can network online through social media. I mean, these are obviously basic things, but it's good for somebody who wants to start into the sector or to progress within the renewable energy sector. I think these are certainly ideas that I would advise to follow, really. But also keeping up to date with the latest research by accessing online publications. Just going back to our specific scenario, what can people do, professionals and also students, what can they do? I mean, as I said, distance learning, for example, there is this website academy-ec.co.uk that provides a lot of training courses for people to learn how to work in renewable energy, but also the individual technologies, how to manage renewable energy projects, how to finance these projects, calculations, etc. And also the technology, how the technology works, because it's important, obviously, there are different aspects, the technical aspects and also the managerial aspects, obviously, of education in the renewable energy sector. And obviously they complement each other, and people from different sectors can upskill, can start a career in renewable energy by learning those topics. As I said about recognition within the sector, there are professional membership programs such as energycpd.co.uk, and this can be viewed on Energy CPD website. And also, the last point, and then I'm finished, obviously accessing social media, for example, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. You can find on the screen actually some examples of groups you can access. But I'm sure IRENA will also make this presentation available for you. And you can also, the last point is keeping up to date with research by accessing online journals, like, such as the energy-learning.com journal. And this really concludes my presentation. I'd like to thank you, IRENA, IRELP, especially Hugo and Stephanie as well, obviously, for making this happen. It's been certainly been very well attended so far, I can see. So thank you very much. Back to you, Hugo.
Thank you very much, Paolo, for this very interesting presentation. We are receiving many questions now. I think I will address it by the order they have appeared in the screen for us. So the first question that we have received is about employment figures in Africa, and maybe I can take it. As Axel mentioned, employment is one of the main research areas within the policy unit here in IRENA. We have released in January 2012 a comprehensive report on employment for biofuels and grid connected. This can be found in IRENA webpage, and then there is the figures by regions and by technology. So basically, I will advise Mr. Daniel Kofi-Essient to visit the webpage, the area of publication. But I want to comment two more things on this. There is also another publication very interesting in terms of employment, which is jobs and access. We have studied particularly what is the potential of creating employments working in renewable energy for off-grid applications. And very interesting thing is not only the potential in terms of figures, but also that you can find local people to be trained very easily. So the demand on qualification is not high and can be found locally. And finally, I would like to mention that all this information will be updated and released the 21st of January. You can visit our webpage. There is going to be in Abu Dhabi a conference on renewable energy and employment, and we are going to release the latest report on the subject of renewable energy and employment. There is a second question. There is any training institute in the Middle East for PV in the field of solar? I think I will recommend Mr. Hamed El-Devik to visit IRELP webpage. So the main objective of IRELP is to bring accessible the education on offer opportunities. In IRELP, again, you can search by technology, so PV. You can also search by regions in the Middle East, and you will find there all the education offered in the Middle East. There is a third question on IRENA again. Basically, what is IRENA doing to develop programs and curricula in university, on renewable energy university? I didn't went into detail in the presentation, but yes, this is one of the demands that we have from our members. IRENA has at present 120 country members, and we have received several demands to provide support on developing curricula. So basically, we have also contacted other universities that are already doing that. So universities on Canada, on Germany, on Spain, they are already bilaterally supporting other universities in Chile, in Mozambique, or in South Africa. And basically what we are trying to do at present is developing this second phase of IRELP, a module, a forum on developing renewable energy curricula, and trying to bring together this, the offer and the demand. This university with experience on developing curricula, and this other university looking forward to introduce some component of renewable energy. In any case, once again, I think I can advise this person, Mr. Belkacem, to check also in IRENA webpage, because in June 2012 there was also an IRELP site event in the margins of the Whirlwind conference, and the presenter from the University of Oldenburg gave a very interesting insights on how to develop curricula. And in fact, they have developed a shared curricula between the University of Oldenburg in Germany and University of Cape Town in South Africa. And there is this one question on wind, which is basically if there is in Africa the wind resources and if the space, why it's not happening, what has been done to encourage wind energy companies to expand their operations to Africa, where there is growing a group of renewable energy professionals and practitioners. So I don't know very well. Maybe I can mention a couple of activities on IRENA in Africa and give the floor maybe to our wind colleagues, or also maybe to Paolo and Axel, if they have how they see Africa and development of wind in Africa. And we do agree with the person that sent us the question. We have a project in IRENA trying to map all the renewable energy resources, and there is an important potential for wind in Africa, and but there is a lack of not only qualified human skills but also infrastructure in terms of evacuation of the energies or the transmission to attract finance for this project. So there is an IRENA at present, a project called the Clean Energy Corridor, trying to bring together the different countries of East Africa to implement these gaps and together try to jointly develop the wind sector in Africa, and many countries in the northeast supplying electricity to the south, like South Africa, which is a very great consumer of electricity. So maybe I can give the floor to any of the panelists if they want to complement, or how do they should actually, since he would like to comment, Paolo as well. So Paolo, you have the floor, let's say.
Thanks. Yeah. I hope you can hear me. It says I'm muted. No, it should be right. Yes, no, thank you, Hugo. Yes, I mean, certainly in relation to Africa, I think, as you suggested, wind power is something which is not as looked. I mean, it's not as looked as solar power is. Obviously, Africa is very much known for the sun. I think more than wind. But certainly, wind is also a very important technology. And certainly, what I can suggest our viewer who asked the question is also to have a look at a report that we put together following roundtables we organized around Europe with the United Nations Environment Programme. It's on the European Energy Centre website, uenergycentre.org. And then you'll find some information on possible projects that will be developed and some ideas that can then develop into projects. I mean, the purpose of the roundtables was to put together experts in a renewable energy field in order to develop projects for developing countries especially, and also to finance those projects as well. Obviously there is no project without the financing part of it, so that financing part is very important. So that certainly is also another area that this participant can also look at. I mean, I can also inform you about educational activities that we've been doing here, where I'm based in Edinburgh, in the United Kingdom, where we do a lot of training courses. In the past wind power course that we organized had nearly 40% of participants coming from African countries. That is African participants from Africa that came to the United Kingdom. So it kind of shows that there certainly is a strong feeling towards wind, in fact. Yeah. And obviously nowadays, also through distance learning, that's possible to learn some aspects. Obviously, that is limiting, but still, it's a resource. I guess that people can start in relation to wind power. I think that's all for me. I hope I can give an additional insight. Thank you, Hugo.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Paolo. And I see that Axel also would like to comment on the question. Axel, please, you have the floor.
Yeah, just very briefly, what I can say is that there is no real concerted action regarding wind energy in Africa so far. I think it is well known that there are some countries which have been active in this field, which have installed wind parks, like Egypt, Morocco, and South Africa. Morocco and South Africa are quite active from what I see. And there are some Eastern African countries like Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, which are quite active also developing projects. But it is clear that wind energy is a project business with a minimum size of a few million dollars or euros of project size, and that's not something you'll just develop overnight. So it needs a lot of preparation, discussion, and so on. And financing, obviously, is a difficult topic. Solar, obviously, has developed very quickly because it's a product based. Usually, you have solar parks, but you have all this rural electrification business and solar lamps and so on. It's much easier to distribute that in such a continent.
Thank you very much, Axel. Okay, so do our colleagues from the web, you would like to comment, or we go to the next question? Yes.
Well, very briefly, unfortunately, we don't really deal with anything happening outside Europe. We, however, share the offices with the Global Wind Energy Council, GWEC, which is covering any wind-related activities everywhere in the world. So maybe if someone would like to receive further information on wind projects in Africa, it's the right organization to get in touch with.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Then our next question is very straightforward. I don't have an answer, and it is the Galileo Master Certificate relevant for renewable energy professional? Any of you can provide comments. Unfortunately, we are cooperating with Galileo in Ireland, but I don't have all the details and insights about their activities. So I think that Paolo would like to address or comment this question. So is the Galileo Master Certificate relevant for renewable energy professionals?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Hugo. Yes, the Galileo Master Certificate is, well, it's internationally recognized and has been awarded for nearly 40 years, in fact, the Galileo Master Certificate. So, yeah, I mean, it's obviously, there's an exam, and people who pass the exam would then obtain the Galileo Master Certificate. I believe there are companies from, I can say names as well, but from Mitsubishi to Siemens, the employees of those organizations that have achieved the Galileo Master Certificate. And actually, people who achieve the Galileo Master Certificate, they can also become MEEC. There's more information on the website energycpt.co.uk. But yes, I mean, it's something that is really quite relevant for people who want to upskill and obviously learn the renewable energy, kind of knowledge in renewable energy, and then be able to show that they have learned the knowledge in the renewable energy field to potential employers or potential clients as well, because obviously clients will want to guarantee that a professional has the requirements for and the knowledge to carry out a job before obviously they would employ or they would use a supplier for certain jobs that needs to be done. So yeah, that's the Galileo Master Certificate. Okay, I think that's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, so if from the other panelists there are not comments on this question, I think we have overpassed almost in 20 minutes the time that we have scheduled for this webinar. Even if we have several more questions, I think that most of them could be addressed once the PowerPoint presentations are in IRENA website. So I think that now I would like to close the webinar, to thank a lot to all our 4 panelists from today, to all the people following us through the internet, and of course to my colleagues here helping me in the organization. I wish you a good evening and thank you very much. Thank you.